$22 trillion is a lot of red ink. This is very true. The question, though, is what is the currency that the debt is in? People say it's in U.S. dollars, but the U.S. dollars are issued by the Federal Reserve Bank, and this currency is not legitimate. It's not constitutional. According to the United States Constitution and the founders, the currency was supposed to be expressed in silver, a fine weight of silver. And paper currency is not silver, and it's no longer convertible into silver or any other precious metals. So this is just fake currency. And that's the problem, because there is a lot of corruption coming from this fake currency. But yes, as far as the Federal Reserve note is concerned, we are supposed to pay back the creditors, the people holding our debt, of $22 trillion. This is a lot of red ink. This is talking about the very rapid growth in the Federal Reserve note debt. And under George Bush, who recently died, and under Barack Obama, this debt continued to grow almost exponentially. And the fact of the matter is that this debt is actually bogus. Bogus means fake. It's fake debt. Why do I say it's fake debt? This is because it's owed to the Federal Reserve, which is one of the members of the Bank for International Settlements. Now, this group was supposed to be shut down by the World Bank. That's what we know. And we have been trying to close the Federal Reserve and these members of the Bank for International Settlements down because actually they owe debt. They owe more debt than we owe under the bogus national debt. What do the Federal Reserve and the members of the Bank for International Settlements owe? They owe over $2 quadrillion. That is debt that was issued in the 1930s under something called Treaty of Versailles Bonds. At the time, this was $270 trillion, but there was interest that grew exponentially, and now the bankers owe us over $2 quadrillion worth. So the Federal Reserve, it's bankrupt, and I have put liens on the Federal Reserve, and I have recorded these liens, and I have given a notice to the Universal Postal Union, and we are now in the process of winding the Federal Reserve down. Who is we? We is all of the people on Earth. We're in something called the global currency reset. And the chance that we succeed in doing this, it's over 90%. We know this this is a power transition model from the National War College that came to me in 2004. And it's very, very accurate, and I've been following this. This power transition model tells us who is working together in a coalition, and I can tell you who is in this coalition. It's the people all over the world and the military powers all over the world, including the United States military powers. We're talking about the amount of debt and borrowings that the federal government is contracting, and the point of this matter is that the federal government is already bankrupt. It was bankrupted back in the 1930s. We know this for sure from James Traficant, who was a member of the United States Congress for many, many years and represented Ohio. And he put this matter into the Federal Register. And so, yes, the federal government is, according to the bankers, which are lying to you, the federal government is borrowing. But as a matter of fact, the federal government has been bankrupted and doesn't really exist. We're talking about a debt crisis which is coming. This is not accidental. This debt crisis was planned many, many years ago because the banking cartel was planning on destroying the United States using this fake paper currency. But we are prepared for this, and we're actually going to prevent this from happening. The chances that we prevent this from happening, they're over 90%. Because although we're talking about budgetary deficits, we're talking about paper money, which is, it's not real. The real money is expressed in precious metals. And we have a lot of these precious metals. I'm the lawyer for the Global Debt Facility, which contains over 1 million metric tons of gold. This is the gold that belongs to all the people on Earth. It's much more gold than people normally speak about because people have been lied to. And although people have been lied to, we're also, many of us, understand what the actual reality is. And we are going to be shifting to the reality before this paper currency crisis, which was manufactured by the bankers. And the bankers, as we've mentioned, are really bankrupt because these precious metals and other wealth in the Global Debt Facility belongs to all of humanity. And the bankers have been trying for many years to steal it back, and they haven't succeeded. And one of the reasons that they haven't succeeded is because of something called the statute of limitations. The wealth of the world was deposited into the World Bank and International Monetary Fund by Jose Rizal, who was the one, his office was something called the Black Pope, and he prepared us for this crisis. So the crisis is really a crisis for the banking cartel. It's not our crisis. How much of the crisis can be attributed to the foreign policy of the United States, and how much of the crisis is something which happened after 9/11? Well, first of all, as we've been talking about, the crisis is a banker's crisis because the bankers thought that they were going to continue to fool us with their fake paper money. And as a matter of fact, we're not fooled at all. A critical mass of humanity knows full well what the actual reality is. And we have shifted into this reality under something called the 100-monkey effect. Once enough people knew, the critical mass of humanity knew what the actual reality was, we moved into a new reality, which is where we are. And the crisis that we're talking about is something that only exists for people who have been fooled by the banking cartel. And as I've mentioned, enough of us are no longer fooled. So how much of this crisis happened after 9/11? Well, you know what happened in 9/11. We were told that there was twin towers that were falling down because of planes flying into them. This is a fabricated lie. What actually happened on 9/11 was we were being distracted because the day before 9/11 was when the news hit that the military lost over $1 trillion in their budget. And people didn't want anyone to realize this, so they manufactured this fake story. It wasn't real planes. The buildings were demolished. They had to be demolished. There was gold in storage under the Twin Towers that has gone missing, and we're going to be recovering it. And when I say we, this is the coalition that is actually now in place. And I'm the spokesperson for the coalition, but as I've mentioned many, many times, it's really humanity that's in charge, and I just get to try to speak for humanity. And everything that people do when they have regained their world and their reality, they're going to undo any mistakes that we've made in the interim. We're just caretakers waiting for humanity to decentralize and finish running the world themselves. And each country, the people in each country, they're going to kick out those fake bankers and their fake currency, and they're going to be regaining their monetary gold reserves. We've already offered this gold, which is going to be minted in their currency. The last question has to do with what people call entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, and these programs which assist people who need assistance are rather expensive, and the costs, people want to know how we're going to cover these costs. The fact of the matter is that these entitlement programs are creating a fight between the Democrats and Republicans. This is no accident, because the banking cartel likes to do something called divide and conquer. They like to find groups that fight each other, and that way the banking cartel can stay in power. Now, the people that need assistance are not going to lose their assistance. We're going to be involved in a transition, and when I say we, that is the Coalition for the Rule of Law that is actually in control, and we're going to work very slowly and very peacefully, and we're going to be letting people know what the actual reality is, and we're going to keep the fake paper money in effect until we have enough time and agreement on how to change over to the precious metals that are actually under the global debt facility, which I'm the lawyer for. So don't whatever you do, stay calm and realize that there's an attack to try to confuse you. That's the real attack. But the entitlements, yes, they're going to remain in effect until we're able to decentralize, and then the good people in all of the communities that are going to be issuing their own local currencies under a barter system, they're going to figure out how to take care of the people in their communities. All of the communities are actually in charge. That's what we're doing during the global currency reset.